launched a couple of years ago. Our publication we're promoting today is our new father anthology. And I'm really excited to introduce Donna Steele. Donna has a beautiful story in the father anthology. I'm going to tell y'all real quick, when you go and search for this on Amazon, because it's an anthology, there's about 14 to 16 writers in here. So you would search, the easiest way to search for it, the first writer is Peter Last. Like the last shall be first. So that is just an odd thing, the way that worked out. So if you're searching for it, but Donna's story is so encouraging, and I just am excited about getting to have Donna on here to share about her story. And Donna, would you like to start out by just kind of introducing yourself and how you got started with writing?
Yes, I have written all my life. I started publishing when I was living in Indiana, and I wrote opinion pieces for the Greenfield Daily Reporter. And they were usually full of, data, facts, and of course, my opinions. Currently, I'm writing for a journal called The Studio, and I get to be more creative with my writing. This is the first time I've published fiction, and I'm so excited to be a part of this anthology. I know I'm in good company, and thanks for the opportunity.
Well, you are in good company, and you have certainly proven yourself to be worthy to be amongst the good company you were published with. I was going to ask you if you wanted to tell us a little bit about the theme of your story.
Well, I almost named the story Different Time Zones because time is one of the major themes of the story. Each character is written about in their own space and time. They don't overlap necessarily till the end. And I changed the name of the title, but time still is, one of the major themes, because the story shows three different people and how time affects them. One person forgets in time. One of the characters holds on to resentment his whole life, and time doesn't work for him. But time works for the daughter in the story because she forgives. She does the work, and she learns how to forgive.
Forgiveness is very powerful, because I know it just sounds so cliche. We hear so many people say that forgiveness is not about someone else. It's really about freeing ourselves. But I think anyone that has lived out a situation and found themselves reaching the point to where you can forgive or get past a situation, it really is freeing. It's very freeing. And with the Gritty South brand, what I had really envisioned and hoped for is that there would be stories produced that would not be the perfect, polished Southern living stories that were all butterflies and roses and perfect, because really life isn't perfect. But in the end, we can all figure out how to live with some kind of resolution, and find happiness in ourselves.
And that's what I tried to reveal in the story, that, it can go either way, and it's up to the individual really to choose how they're going to deal with their stuff, because we all have stuff. we have baggage from our parents. And sadly, I wish I could say that in every case, parents do their best. I know in my case, my parents did their best. And I still had baggage. That's just how it happens. So that's why I was excited about the opportunity to write this story, because it's so universal. The struggle between a parent and a child, even into adulthood.
Yes, because from being a child to as you grow into adulthood, and then at some point, it's almost like the caregiving role does reverse,
Definitely.
or that's what I have learned, and it's been an interesting process, and things do change in time. What do you think the universal appeal? And I'm probably going to go back to the same thing we've just discussed, but the universal appeal of your story in particular, the details of it.
Well, again, I think, we all have parents, and everyone has a story to tell about their upbringing. And, what's funny is that one of the things that drew me to writing this story was the universal appeal. I felt that all of the stories in the anthology would speak to people where they live, because, we carry these memories. And one of these stories is bound to spark something in the reader.
Exactly. So what was the process you went through as a writer as you developed this story?
That's
Your
a
writing
good question.
process.
That's a good question. And I started to write the story as a memoir type story. And oh my gosh, I sounded like a whiny baby. And I thought, this is not good, and this is not fun. Like, I'm not having a good time writing this. So when I fictionalized the characters, oh my gosh, it feels like the story just wrote itself. And I really, really had a good time writing, because I was one step removed, emotionally from the content. So I think that helped me focus on other things, such as, physical details, tics some of the characters might have. I just was able to, I think, create a larger world than if I had just written it as a memoir.
So who was your favorite character in the story?
Oh, I can tell you who my favorite character was not, and that was the son. I just don't like him. I wouldn't want to hang out with him in real life, but I had the most fun writing him. I think the daughter is my favorite character, because in the end, she has arrived somewhere. Her arc was here, and now it's over there at the end of the story. She's done the work, and she's forgiven. And the father, he's gone from here kind of to there. Time has allowed him to forget, which is another, function of time. And often it can be, you want to forget. So I didn't think that he grew that much. And the son certainly didn't, but the daughter, she grew. So she would be my favorite character.
So I don't have a personal story in the Father Anthology. And there's an intent. The reason why is because my mother's still living, and I wouldn't want to put anything in a story that would hurt my mother. And I also very mindful of the fact that many of my cousins would see my father in a much different light than the way I see my father. Even like I'm the oldest child in the family. I have a sister that's 9 years younger than me, and she sees our father much differently than the way I always seen our father.
Mhm.
And so, do you have any concerns about, as your family and or extended family, when they read this story? I mean, how have you sorted through, or have you?
Well, I have had concerns about that because the father in the story is not the man they loved. You know, he's in the story, he's a little bit of a sad sack, but in real life, he was so much fun and so vibrant and was a second father to many of not just my cousins, but my friends. And so I've sent an email to all of them, including my sisters, that, please don't be upset with me. Please remember that this is a fiction story. And there's so much in it that's just not true, but it's fiction. So I got to have fun with, creating a little bit of tension and developing the characters. So I appreciate you asking that question, actually, because it gives me another opportunity to say, please remember this story is fiction. Although, of course, I had a gritty relationship with my father as I was a child, and there are certain elements of the story that someone might recognize if they knew us way back then. But, I resolved those feelings with my father, and we had such a wonderful relationship through most of my adulthood and until he passed back in 2007. Um, I hope I am not dishonoring him by writing this story because it is fiction. So I hope people can separate the two.
So, what do you see your next publication being? Where's your writing career going right now?
I like the short story. I would say that this particular short story is very character driven. It's less plot driven, and I think it's very easy for me to get into character with people. In fact, a fun thing I used to do with my husband was say if we were sitting in a restaurant, I'd say, okay, let's spy a person that looks interesting, and then let's each write a page about them. And it was so much fun to do that because it just takes you in directions if you sat there and planned it out, it may not have taken you there. So I like the surprise element of that, and I envision creating some characters and then putting them in a situation where they have to react. I think that would be my next story. I can't be more specific than that, though.
That is interesting. I've never heard anyone say they've done that. So I'm sure there's other people that have done that, but that's an interesting um, way to jump into a writing assignment.
Well, I think
But
that,
you don't, at
everybody
this
has to
point,
get there, how they get there. Like J.K. Rowling, she knew exactly how the story would begin and end before she started writing. And I don't think that that's how I would be able to work. I meander, you know. I think that actually the story, I will find the story and it will find me just when
okay.
I put the pen to paper.
So do you have, is there anything that you already have in the works that will be a short story that will be in another publication soon?
I have written a short story. It's interesting. The theme of the next studio journal is time. And I've written a story which is a true accounting of how time affected one of the members of my family, uh, how he grew from a little boy to a man in an afternoon. And so I'm very excited to submit that story.
Excellent. And so tell us real quickly so we can get some information in about the studio. Tell us how people can access the studio.
I would imagine the best way would be to get a subscription through their website, which I can't say off the top of my head, but I'm sure if you Google it, you can find it. It's also
Okay.
available for purchase at different local retailers.
Okay. I wanted to be able to do that to help another publication out
Uh,
because the studio is a quarterly, and he has some of the most fantastic writing and photography in. Um, it's being published as a quarterly magazine, but I see it more as a book, and it's that it's a high enough quality. It's a coffee table book, and so Robert Rausch with Gas Studios is is the publisher, and so I just wanted to plug him right there, right quick, and
well, I love that because he's a great
and
guy and he is producing a really nice product.
he is, and he's working on a really awesome, cool project there. So, okay, so it's the Father Anthology, and anyone that would like to get a copy, you can order it off of Amazon, and you might. No, I don't think you could get it by Father's Day now, but it is available on Kindle also. And anyone that has Amazon uh, Prime, you can read it off